This is my second video. I would ask, like, why do I keep getting denied? Why do people keep leaving? Why is what I'm doing never good enough for people? And I realize it now that those feelings weren't a sign of failure. They showed me that I was walking in the same path as God's chosen people. Denial sometimes comes before God's bigger purpose in your life, before his purpose unfolds. You're not alone in our sufferings. We are blessed when we go through persecutions. You have a greater reward in heaven. Happy are you and blessed are you that go through persecutions. I be mixing different scriptures together because like they're all so good. And I had this video where I talked about it is like being a middle child. I've been feelings that I had felt and that I kind of like continue to feel, you know, as I am the middle child. I felt overlooked. Feeling overlooked was a really prominent, 𝘱𝙤𝙦 𝙤𝙨 chapter in my life. I often felt like my achievements and my needs were kind of like overlooked and overshadowed at home. Later in life, I really felt different and I felt like nobody was able to understand me. No matter how hard I pushed to be heard, no matter how hard I waited for other people to talk so that I can be heard next, I'm going to talk about other things that I have experienced throughout my life. My beauty, I'll say. Go check out my last video where I talk more about how I lacked self-confidence and how I really didn't see myself for who I truly was. And that includes both internally and externally. But this time I'm talking about externally. You know, I'm talking about my outer beauty, my outer appearance, everything. I used to wonder why people were so drawn to me. The way that I listen to people without judging. The softness that I give people. Like over time I realized that it wasn't me that they were feeling while encountering me. That it was actually Jesus that they were feeling through me. But I didn't know it at the time. So it took me years and years to even see that I was pretty. I'll say like a couple years ago. Because I've been like getting told that since I was, I don't know, like first grade. I'm really not an egotistical person. I had low self-confidence in every single area of my life. I had low self-esteem. Like I didn't think anything highly of myself. So when I'm saying this, it's really me coming to an acknowledgement, because it really took like literally like 15 years and I'm about to be 22 this year. Like I had some scriptures that really brought to mind. Of course, you know, Songs of Solomon. God really sees me for who I truly am, and he values me and loves me. I had to remind myself that love and kindness are things that I deserve. But I had to practice self-compassion, and I really learned to stop comparing myself to other people. Started to recognize that God's word is true, that I should know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and the handiwork and the craftsmanship, you know, of Jesus. Scriptures and saying how Jesus knew me and formed me before I was even in the womb. And reminds me that his love is eternal, that it's not based on what I do or what I feel. The way that Jesus created me, like my personality, my appearance, my creativity, which I'll talk about more like later on, everything was all intentional. He made me into all those, you know, factors so that I can bring people to his kingdom, to his glory. I really just thought that when people were complimenting me that they were just being nice. Really grown up struggling to take compliments. No matter how often I was told about my looks, whatever, I didn't believe them. I just thanked them and I'm like, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was like conditioned kind of from like childhood criticism. This whole thing about like being light-skinned and being a female, how I didn't like being light-skinned for the majority of my life. Like I'm so serious, like oh my gosh, I wanted to be darker so much. I just really didn't feel like I deserved that support and that praise when people compliment me. As you can see, there's a few elephants in the room. I have a new hairstyle for like the 50th time for this video. During my low points, I had experienced and went through torment, trials and tribulations, difficulty, and it just really left me in misery. And my fear of rejection had left me to like over apologize for things. I would constantly try to fix things at my own expense. It just caused conflict within me because I had placed so much of my validation in man and not with God. It was like my worth and my feelings had like depended on if that person liked me, if that person trusted me. I just felt like Jesus was silent in my life because I don't know, I wasn't giving like my burdens and everything to him so he can lighten them. I was kind of asking like, is this person for me? Whether it was like trying to start a relationship with someone or just trying to be their friend. But I really wasn't like giving and handing my situation over to God. I wasn't letting him take control of my life, you know, and I was just like putting him on the back burner, I'll say. And that just really added to my like inner turmoil. But now, like looking back on everything that I had experienced, I noticed that the things that were meant to destroy me, that God will turn it around for my good, and that he will use that hurt, that pain to strengthen me, to make me stronger in faith, and to really find myself and know who I am in his eyes. It felt like destruction in that time. God will turn it into strength, and he has turned it into strength. Everything that you're going through has a purpose. Pain has a purpose, and the Lord knows exactly what it will take to push you closer to him, because that pain, he uses it as preparation for you. Light affliction is only for a moment. How I see that is like how God will break us down to our lowest moments, because lowest moments are when we tend to find and pray to God most. He's close to us when we're going through our lowest moments, and that's so evident in so many stories in the Bible. During all of the times I was suffering, I thought it was just like in vain. I just thought that I was meant to just experience all of the bad and all of the negativity, like a scapegoat. I see myself as a scapegoat in the family and also like, you know, in life. And I didn't know that everything that I was going through were basically parts of like scripture. I was strengthening others by putting myself last and really focusing on like how they felt and like what's going on with them, so that they can get the justice that they deserve, that they feel better mentally, that they grow closer to Jesus. I was building them up. I tried to bring comfort to them. Really everything that I've been through, like, all served a greater purpose. I had faced rejection from friends. There's been seasons where I felt left out. All led to me questioning my worth during quarantine. This is where I started to like stay up like 24 hours or going to sleep like early in the morning or late at night, however you want to see it. Glass half full, half empty, what you feel me? What happens in the spirit shows up in the physical. I was going through so much heavy spiritual warfare. I didn't know it at the time because I didn't know, you know, let's stop. Cool. So I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it was spiritual warfare. I didn't know the term for it. I don't know. I just thought it was like bad things happening to me. And it appeared to me as depression, as sickness and rejection. This is where I really started to know, understand, and feel God's presence in my life, over my life, and during my trials. It was really like an eye-opener type of season that I was in quarantine. It was really reflecting on the things that I've been through and how Jesus was with me all of those times, the whole time. In those hard moments that he was actually with me. He was with me in the fiery cave, you know, he was with me in the belly of a whale for 3 days and 3 nights. Scriptures in the Bible that is saying and that's proving that Jesus is with me. I realized that God was preparing me for something much more greater than I could even imagine and for what I can even think of for myself. All those fiery tests and trials, they actually refined me, you know? Jesus allows the stripping season to reveal truly where my faith lies in him. He works all things together for the good of those who love Christ and who were called according to his will. Jesus controls and brings the good and the evil. So it's like every single evil, and also, Job, for example, Satan cannot do anything on his own. He always has to go to the Father. He always has to go in heaven and just like ask for permission to do this, ask for permission to do that. Suffering is happening by accident. It's just all really to store us, to train us, to build us. Trials to see if you will still serve me, if you will still, not me, if you will still serve Jesus, if you will still live according to his will and to seek him during all of your low points. God always met people at their lowest points when they felt uncertain about themselves. Jacob, Moses, the burning bush, David, Jonah while he was in the whale, Daniel, Lot when the 2 angels had warned him. There's plenty of other scriptures about that. Back then when situationships or like friendships that I thought were friendships, but it was actually fake. Those opportunities that I have gotten denied from, whether it was friendships or jobs or anything else, when it seemed like nothing would go my way, that there was just closed door after closed door after closed door.
And the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Nothing was going right despite my effort. I just really wrestled with doubt a lot. Being exposed to my weakness, he allows all of that to build us. And I noticed this now that sometimes what God asks you to do can feel uncomfortable. Like for instance with me, starting new things. I love starting new things, but it's just like what ifs that go on in my head. Like I love exploring, I love starting new things, I love adapting. It really requires faith in Jesus, those uncomfortable things that we are called to do. This is the product of So Jesus will take you through the same lesson over and over, and so that you learned it, so that you really like understood it. It's like an example for me about that is, you know, like guys and like the situationships and everything like that. I wasn't really listening. I wasn't really, you know, taking it for, I don't know, you know, he had asked me to release all of those things. I didn't know that my worth actually comes from Jesus, like it comes from Christ, not in people's opinions. You know? Just kept depending on others to make me feel good, to make me feel validated, to make me feel seen and heard, not knowing that there was someone who already was all of those things to me. What I thought was rejection from people was actually rescue from Jesus, because God had better plans for me. I'm going to be talking about what I experienced while I was in South Carolina. I'm not really going to tell too much of what I really experienced in South Carolina. It's just how I felt. I do have a whole video or two about me being in South Carolina, which is on my other channel. And also, guys, a little side note, I do all of my hair.
This little like gift that Jesus gave me, and
it was 2021 or 2022. My uncle, which is my mother's brother, they're like 14 years apart, 13, 14, or 17. One of those. I don't think it's 17. By this time, I think he only had one child, because right now he has 3 children. They're all little toddlers. He had 2 dogs. It was one like big dog or medium-sized dog, and there's like a little like puppy, which was his girlfriend's dog. He's in the military, and he used to be a Navy for like years and years and years, like for as long as I can remember. But then I think recently he's been in the Army.
Me, my mother, my older brother, my grandmother, and then other people in our whole family, you know, we have like a really big, humongous family. We would always be going places that my uncle is. So like for instance, he was in Florida one time, and you know, our immediate family or you know, our cousins and everything, we would all go, you know, take like a vacation or whatever in Florida or in South Carolina, where I was at for the time being, or really just anywhere, like wherever my uncle was. As long as I can remember, we've been doing that with him.
Before my uncle had texted or called or whatever my mother or anything, or had like this idea of me going down there, I remember praying to Jesus. I was just like, since I told you, you know, I liked adaptability, I liked new like environments. I was still going through the things that I told you about in my first video about like family and stuff, and like my mental. I prayed. I was just like, I just need something new. I need some space for my family, because I can't do it no more. I need a break. It's a lot building up to me. I'm trying to be fine with it. I'm trying to push everything down, but it just keeps adding up. Just a break, just for a little bit, even if it's like a day or 2 or a week. I even said like a new state, and sure enough, Jesus actually, you know, put the thought inside of my uncle's mind for him to, you know, come up with that whole idea of me going to South Carolina. I don't really know how the conversation had came up, really. I just remember like I don't know how it came up between my mother and her brother. I just know that like my uncle probably like talked about it to my mom and was like, hey, I want to bring Kirsten down, da da da. And the original plan was that I was going to like help him with something or whatever. I was gonna, he wanted me to live down there for 6+ months. But I ended up saying 3+ months. Basically, it was like he had like a job for me to do down there. I think he also had a car for me down there as well. My dad, of course, he was like, he didn't want me to go. He was like, really? Why are you going down there to live down there? What type of job does he has for you? This, that, and the third. I don't really think you should go down there. My mother, I believe she was kind of like the same thing. On the, yeah, you can go, or like you should go, or whatever. So I ended up going. This is when I wasn't in college. Like 3 years. Because I graduated, like I told you, I graduated a year early. I just remember finding out, wow, I want to be an actress. I explained in my last video how, you know, I'm so blessed that I am not an actress. Even though I don't shame, I like people who are actresses and actors. It's just like for me, like my purpose and my calling, like, but I always loved it. I really planned 10 years of my life being an actress. The monologues, finding agents, having my mom be my agent, writing my own scripts. Maybe one day. But Hollywood is getting darker. Took a year off. My relationship with Jesus did grow stronger. I think I ended up going like a week and a half after he had like, you know, asked me to come or whatever, because, you know, I was being skeptical. I was scared. Well, scared because I didn't want to like leave my family here. He said that the car was no longer available, which I get that. This happened after, during Thanksgiving, I'll say. I guess it was 2022. Yeah, I graduated in 2021, and that was like in May, or I guess the next year was when my uncle had asked. When I got there, like the whole time, like nobody talked about this other job that my uncle had for me. My mother would ask, my dad would ask, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like my uncle didn't bring it up or whatever. And that really made my mom upset and my dad upset like later on, because it was like, why am I really down here? I mean, of course, you know, spend time with them, but like I had tried to get jobs down there. So my uncle had asked me, what do I want to do while being down here? And then, you know, I told my mom and everything, and then she was like, why is he asking you when I thought and when he told me that he already had jobs for me and stuff? So then I was like, I don't know. So I said that I would want to go to attend like Christian like workshops or like classes. I wanted to continue to work on my YouTube channel. He like questioned like most of it, so I was like, oh, okay. But so of course that didn't really make me feel good, because I'm like, if you had said you had a job for me down here, whatever, but it never came up. Back in Maryland, I was working at this Chick-fil-A. I was in South Carolina. I had tried to, you know, like transfer over. I forgot really how the whole process happened. I got the job, like stopped working there, or I didn't really like work like one shift. I forgot what she did, but I mean, I was grateful, of course, but it was just like I was literally sitting there doing nothing. His girlfriend would like get upset with me because I'm like doing nothing. I had to like check like ballots, I think. Once I did that, like I said, after that I can just, you know, chill. So I would chill after I'm doing that. I would call my mom. I would write down something. I don't know if I would like journal. I would also watch like Bible videos. Like, she was the boss of her establishment. We would go somewhere to eat, like go like a drive-thru or something, and then come back and eat it. She would like stay at her desk and I would be like in the next room. Basically, she would just like get upset because I'm not doing anything. After I did everything, I would be like, okay, I'm done doing this, that, and the third. She was just like, why are you know, not doing anything? She would tell my uncle, just like, bro, I'm trying my best. I did what I had to do. You said I can chill. I'm not disturbing anybody, because there was like 3 people in there. It seemed like I wasn't good enough. I told my mom, of course, she wasn't happy with it either. I don't want y'all to see me as like this bad person. Please, I'm not a bad person at all. That was like another thing that had happened where I'm just like, okay, I just can't do anything right. Then one more time, this was probably about like some weeks later or whatever, we had went to her aunt's house, I believe. He had made us some food. He was so nice. Then we were going to leave, so I had to use the bathroom. So I used the bathroom. I flushed it there. I didn't put any feminine products in there. I didn't put too much toilet paper in it. I didn't put anything that wasn't supposed to go in there. I didn't poop or anything. Like, I flushed it. I don't remember what happened specifically. I just remember that it flooded, and then in my head I was like, I just can't do anything right. It seems like I'm doing things on purpose because I'm ungrateful of the position that I'm in, even though I'm so grateful to be in another state, somewhere warmer. I love warmer places. I love being with my family, you know, with my uncle. I like new opportunities. I like adapting to new things. I don't know, I wasn't doing anything on purpose, you know. I wasn't doing anything on purpose. I just felt so upset. I was like, bro, now they're gonna seem like I'm targeting them and I'm just doing things bad with my experience here. The older family member, she was understanding. She was saying it happens, or that it happened before, and that their plumber didn't do something right. Just like the odds of me doing that, it was a train wreck. It was upsetting. I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. Me being there just took like a huge toll on me. Like, really messed with my mental even more than it already was messed up years prior. And you don't necessarily have to do something wrong in order for bad things to happen in your life. Just like, you know, Job, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They didn't do anything wrong. Then, you know the story, or not. They got thrown into the furnace. God just really like tests you just to see where your faith is at. Like with them, Jesus tested them to see if they too were going to, you know, bow down and worship the golden image, the tall thingamajigger. Knowing that it's a testing of your faith, you know. I just really felt like that was one of those, you know, trials, because seeing if I would actually, I still don't know how to explain it. It's seeing if I will still come to Jesus with everything, seeing if I will give Jesus my all, see if I will really confide in him. The whole time I was there, I was like, bad things keep happening, Jesus, but I don't know what's going on. I'm still worshiping you. I'm still seeking you. I'm still seeking to grow with you. There's also this one time, need I say, that something else, it was like something small that had happened that also felt like it was kind of my fault, or like I wasn't doing something right. So one time when we were in church, the pastor at that time, he was preaching stuff, and then I was writing it down on my phone. I didn't have like a notebook, whatever. And then my uncle had like looked over and he seen I was on my phone, so he was like, here's, why are you on your phone, da da da. He was like making like this like upset face, and like this face that was like, he was just like done. He was just like fed up with everything that I did. That's just how I see it, you know. I'm an overthinker, so I always think things are worse than what it is. However the case may be. And I was like, in my head, you know, I was like, I'm just writing notes on my phone. Like, I actually was. And then I don't know if he said okay or if he didn't say anything at all. And I I would ask like, why do I keep getting denied? Why do people keep leaving? Why is what I'm doing never good enough for people? And I realize it now that those feelings weren't a sign of failure. They showed me that I was walking in the same path as God's chosen people. Denial sometimes comes before God's bigger purpose in your life, before his purpose unfolds. We're not alone in our sufferings. We are blessed when we go through persecutions. You have a greater reward in heaven. Happy are you and blessed are you that go through persecutions. I be mixing different scriptures together because like they're all so good. And I had this video where I talked about it is like being a middle child. Certain feelings that I had felt and that I kind of like continue to feel, you know, as I am the middle child. I felt overlooked. Feeling overlooked was a really prominent, 𝘗𝙤𝙬𝙀𝙀 chapter in my life. I often felt like my achievements and my needs were kind of like overlooked and overshadowed at home. Later in life, I really felt different and I felt like nobody was able to understand me. No matter how hard I pushed to be heard, no matter how hard I waited for other people to talk so that I can be heard next, I'm going to talk about other things that I have experienced throughout my life. My beauty, I'll say. Go check out my last video where I talk more about how I lacked self-confidence and how I really didn't see myself for who I truly was. And that includes both internally and externally. But this time I'm talking about externally. You know, I'm talking about my outer beauty, my outer appearance, everything. I used to wonder why people were so drawn to me. The way that I listen to people without judging. The softness that I give people. Like over time I realized that it wasn't me that they were feeling while encountering me. That it was actually Jesus that they were feeling through me. But I didn't know it at the time. So it took me years and years to even see that I was pretty. I'll say like a couple years ago. Because I've been like getting told that since I was, I don't know, like first grade. I'm really not an egotistical person. I had low self-confidence in every single area of my life. I had low self-esteem. Like I didn't think anything highly of myself. So when I'm saying this, it's really me coming to an acknowledgement, because it really took like literally like 15 years and I'm about to be 22 this year. Like some scriptures that really brought to mind. Of course, you know, Songs of Solomon. God really sees me for who I truly am and he values me and loves me. I had to remind myself that love and kindness are things that I deserve. But I had to practice self-compassion and I really learned to stop comparing myself to other people. Started to recognize that God's word is true. That I should know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and the handiwork and the craftsmanship, you know, of Jesus. Scriptures and saying how Jesus knew me and formed me before I was even in the womb. It reminds me that his love is eternal, that it's not based on what I do or what I feel. The way that Jesus created me, like my personality, my appearance, my creativity, which I'll talk about more like later on, everything was all intentional. He made me into all those, you know, factors so that I can bring people to his kingdom, to his glory. I really just thought that when people were complimenting me that they were just being nice. Really grown up struggling to take compliments. No matter how often I was told about my looks, whatever, I didn't believe them. I just thanked them and I'm like, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was like conditioned kind of from like childhood criticism. This whole thing about like being light-skinned and being a female, how I didn't like being light-skinned for the majority of my life. Like I'm so serious, like oh my gosh, I wanted to be darker so much. I just really didn't feel like I deserved that support and that praise when people compliment me. Hey, hi guys, so I'm just going to get into my next topic for this video. So this next topic that I want to talk about is doubt. I would doubt in his timing and just thinking like, does he even have a plan for me in my life, or am I just forgotten? And it just felt like I waited for so many years with no change in my life. I doubted in his personal involvement in my life. I thought that Jesus worked in other people and not in my life. Because, you know, just because I felt a little bit unvalued and unseen with my family and even in friends, I just felt like these humans, you know, they're treating me, or I felt this way towards them. And that every single being thinks of me the same way, including, you know, spirit beings, meaning, you know, Jesus and the Father. I think I did say how I felt like a mistake in this world. I used to say that like a lot back then. I always felt like my life had like no direction and like no meaning. I'll say that I doubted the word of God in my life. I thought that like parts of the scripture don't involve me, you know, like they don't apply to me. As his daughter, I realized that I shouldn't drain myself trying to change others, and through those broken and confusing friendships, I actually grew closer to God. God allowed that pain to really deepen my passion for him, so I can strengthen the weak and as I can strengthen myself as well. All of the sufferings that I went through, it molded me into the person that I was called to be. I realized that others couldn't bring me peace, and I stopped idolizing friends and families and even relationships. This topic right now is just called Jesus, the only one who understood. How I just shifted my focus on pleasing the Lord. I realized that I needed him, so I just really learned to live for God's approval. I wanted to root my identity in Jesus, and I really just relied on my own understanding for the longest. I hadn't really fully let Jesus guide me. Lean not on your own understandings. I wasn't acknowledging him in all of my ways. I was just like, okay, there's some doubt, because what if he doesn't do this for me because he doesn't want that for my life? And then what if it's because I'm really meant to be on earth to not deserve and to get anything? So it was just a lot of doubt. Now I'm going to talk about my next topic, which is prayers. When I started to take prayer more seriously, I'll say, after everything that had happened, once I started to read more and more, we have a high priest who is in heaven, who hears us, who is listening and waiting for our prayer, and that he's close to us, especially when we are brokenhearted, when we have a contrite spirit, and who is there to sympathize with us, and to intercede for us, to speak for us. I was praying that Jesus had tested my heart. He visited me in the night while I was praying. When I cried out, the Lord heard me. He delivered me from all of my troubles, from all of my fears. That's when I casted all of my care onto him, because I knew that he cared. Because his word is true. He says this. He's not a vain God. He's not going to say, he's not like man. He's not a vain God. He's not going to say something and then just be like, you know what, I'm not going to mean it. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Like, if he says this, his word is true, you have no choice but to believe it. He said that he cares for me when I just cast all my care upon him. Throughout all my years, he's tried my heart. He knew me before I was born. Like, he searched me and he knew me. The Lord knows, like, your murmurs and like your like unspoken words, like in prayer. Before a word was on my tongue, he knew what I was trying to say. He knew it completely. He understood it. I just had to come to him humbly and just surrender that to him. Like I said, it was really hard for me to understand and to really believe that Jesus cares for me in every situation, because these humans, they didn't care for me in every situation. I mean, of course, family, but like, now I'm going to talk about the reality of prayer and faith during your trials. As I was praying, I really waited patiently for him. He lifted me out of whatever pit I was in, whatever situation I was in, whatever situation I was facing. He gave me a firm place to stand. And I would also pray, renew a steadfast spirit within me, renew the joy of your salvation to me. He just kept putting new songs of praise in my mouth. I prayed for him, I sought for him, I waited patiently for him. He delivered me from all of the things that I had fear of, all of them, and I'm just so grateful that he did. The next one I have is the testing of our faith produces perseverance and endurance. When I was saying, I lost all faith in people because I was people pleasing, to lay everything down at his feet. Our faith is strengthened and proven while we're waiting and trusting in Jesus. We have to truly seek Jesus and search for him with our whole heart. We have to keep praying every single day. We can't have faint of heart. We have to keep believing. We have to keep seeking his faith. Draw near to God so he can draw near to us. I had to stop thinking and believing in worthless things to just give my all to him. I'm going to talk about how everything that I've been through kind of led me to be baptized. The moment I decided to fully surrender and to fully give my life to God and get baptized, it wasn't about people pleasing anymore. Like, it wasn't about people pleasing at all. It's just about obeying him and faith and truth. We can't live for human approval, but we have to live through God's approval. I had to let go of people pleasing so I can be free from man's approval. Understanding who I am in God really helped me stop seeking validation from people and realizing that we all humans make mistakes. But why follow someone, or why follow humans who make mistakes when just, follow Jesus who never made a mistake in his life? I had to stop being afraid of rejection and disapproval from men. I had to cast out fear, because Jesus' perfect love, it casts out fear. So why am I still fearing this? And when I'm walking with Jesus, when I'm walking in Christ, I shouldn't be fearing anything, Repenting from idolizing any human opinion, I had to renew my mind in Jesus. It really helped me anchor my worth in God and not in people. So around the time of me getting baptized, it was just a whole bunch of like self-reflection, I'll say. I really had to lose my life for Christ's sake so I can gain my new life in him. I had to stop doubting and if I deserve this, if I deserve that. I have to stop saying that I don't deserve anything just because I've been hurt by people. God is with me when humans fail. I really just learned to trust God's plan over mine, to surrender my will to gain his will, to surrender my understanding to gain his understanding. I really had to rely on his strength. I just really thank you guys for what? I just thank you guys for watching both of my videos. It was a journey, and we're all still growing. We're all still being chastised. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for everything else.